Ever since lockdown started, I've had quite a few people getting in touch with me asking me how they can kickstart their practice and how can they can get back into the zone of practice. What I'm doing here is I'm just putting a little video out just to give you a few tips. First of all, I cover improvisation. First of all, memorize what you transcribe. Transcription is the key. So memorize what you transcribe, okay? And what you transcribe, you're just going to get that from your record collection. So pick one album that you love, and on that album pick one solo that you can't get enough of, and you've always wondered, what is that thing that they're doing? Transcribe it and memorize it. After you've done that, visualize where you want to put that, what you've transcribed. Visualize where you want to superimpose it. You might want to be over some funk thing, or a folk thing, or a rock thing, or a jazz thing. It doesn't matter. It's entirely up to you. And then once you can visualize it, which is kind of done in the mind really, and how you can hear it, then you tweak it. You make it personal. You tweak it more to how it becomes more you, more than anything else. And then after that, you can develop it. You can develop it melodically. You can develop it harmonically, and you can develop it rhythmically, right? So that's the core. That's the nucleus of that's the starting point. But even though, and a lot of you know about that and are aware of that process, they still are a bit phased sometimes, or they lose the spark of practicing. One of the things is a really good tip for you. One of the things that I tend to do is that sometimes I get stale. I become stale with the music that I listen to. I kind of listen to the same genre for a little bit too long, and I'm like, ugh. Well, this is a really good tip that I can give you, is simply go back in history. Go back 30 years, go back 40 years, 50 years, 60 years in history, and rediscover some phenomenal albums that you may have even heard a lot. You might think you know those albums inside out, but you'll be amazed that if you do go back in history, you can really kind of rediscover something that you perhaps might have overlooked before. You find new gold in it, and then you can extract that and go through the whole process again, transcribing, visualization, and tweaking it to your own, putting it over something else, more contemporary. And then when you do go back to listening to the stuff that currently has made you stale at the moment, it will be fresh again. So it's combining old with the new, and finding freshness in something, finding like this fresh spring in different genres or different eras. So that could be one really effective thing to keep in mind. Go back in history, rediscover old albums. The other thing is by taking anything that you transcribe. It doesn't need to be an entire solo, but it can be like a cellular idea, like this, and you can turn it into this. So you can take one cellular idea and you can develop it, you can recompose it, you can build on it in the same way, melodically, harmonically, or rhythmically. And then that can become a technical exercise for you to do. And getting into technical practice is something that really kickstarts the zone for me, because there's creative practice and there's technical practice, the mechanics of the instrument and building a new dexterity around something. So there's creative practice and then there's technical practice. These two things are completely different. They really are different. One practice is flow of ideas, the other one practices the mechanics of something, right? And sometimes we can get into the habit of practicing too much flow, and we can kind of lose the habit of practicing technique. I think sometimes it just takes somebody to say, okay, let's do some technical practice, and that can kickstart somebody into finding the zone again. So it's no different than driving a car all the time, which is really easy and comfortable, and then getting back on a bike and finding out, oh blimey, I need to really, I really need to work on my leg muscles again, or getting back on the bike is a physical thing from having the comfort of a car. But then when you get back on that bike and you keep going with it day after day, you find a new joy in it, right? And it's a similar thing going back into technique practice. It's a meditative thing, and it's a zoning out thing that you can do. You slow everything down, really bring everything down to a snail's pace, and then very gently build it up to build up this accuracy for this fluency. There's that. So you can take one of these cellular ideas of something that you've transcribed, put it to a technical regime for yourself. Make this one idea. It could be half a bar. It could be something really small, but transpose it through different keys. Turn it upside down, turn it inside out. These are things that I can help you with, really, that I tend to help students with. And I've also got a book on it of how to go about doing this. So, yeah, that's another thing. Another way at finding inspiration for practicing is finding about 3 different influences, major influences for you. It doesn't matter who they are. It really doesn't. It doesn't even have to be the people of the same instrument that you're playing. Like for me, I'm a saxophonist. It doesn't have to be 3 saxophonists. It could be a singer. It could be a trumpet player. It could be a piano player. It might not have to be a saxophone player. Make a circle, right? And make yourself a pie chart. Put each one of those influences inside that pie chart, and each one of the segments in that pie chart will be dependent on how influential that person is to you. Try to make tangible by description what they are doing with their articulation, how they're phrasing, what is a common thing for you that you want to get down of their phrasing, what you think they are doing harmonically, melodically, and rhythmically. And then try to make these things tangible for yourself. Once you can make them tangible, you've got a good starting point of knowing what to practice. And again, go back to the whole process of transcribing not just the notes, but also the energy of what inspires you from your influences. The energy, the phrasing, the articulation, as well as what's going on melodically, harmonically, and rhythmically. And so you got a tangible description of your influences. And yeah, so there's 3 tips for you. I hope it helps. One of the things that I do when I help students that come to me is I walk them through this process basically, and then following that I tell them how to make that process more of a person-centered thing for themselves, how to develop it in whatever way they wish, and I make it more unique for them, so that they don't just come out of that process sounding like an imitation, but they know how to translate it into different genres, and at the same time they get a deeper understanding of that triangle, the triangle of the core of what music is, the melody, harmony and rhythm. They get more of an in-depth knowledge of that, so that they can take it on to the next level. Anyway, I hope it's helped. I hope it's been some use to you, and if you want a walkthrough and a guide through this process, just inbox me. Alright, hope you're keeping safe, and I hope you're getting through this lockdown alright.